ever feel like you're rotting from the inside? I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I want to or need to cut myself open and dig out all the decay.
So that's the rather sobering story of Panthea, a 17-year-old with sickle cell disease in the US. Sickle cell, a form of silent torture that turns your red blood cells sickle shape, clogging up your blood flow and preventing oxygen getting to the parts of the body that it really needs to get to. Sickle cell overwhelmingly affects the Afro-Caribbean community, and as we already know, this is where we have a real problem. But what's interesting about this community is that they see themselves as warriors. So how is this related to NHS blood transfusion? Well, all these patients at some point in their lifetime are likely to receive a blood transfusion, and in some cases multiple transfusions. They have very specific genotypes and have highly sensitive immune systems, so finding the right match is crucial. Now, is the NHS prepared to meet this need? Let's have a little look. John, we'll require our assistance, please.
You did pre-warn me about 10 seconds ago.
Here is one I made earlier. I'm going to start with this bowl.
Okay.
Yeah. This bowl represents your blood donors.
Okay.
Panthea's specific genotype means she needs the blue block of Lego. So in this multi-cut block, you have 30 seconds. Please find that blue block.
In there?
In that one.
You have so much
Time is
seconds.
ticking.
Can I just get the
Whatever. 30 seconds.
Now 20 seconds.
Got it. It was a bit messy, wasn't it?
Congratulations, John, thank you. No, it's not here. Stay right there. Because you found the proverbial needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
But it's not quite as simple as that. There are 65 million people in the UK, of which estimates have the Afro-Caribbean population of 1.5 to 2 million people. Yet within that, only 5% give blood. And there's an added level of complication within all of that. Imagine you have access to all of these people, but you need a specific genotype within the blue blood itself. You now need to find this specific piece. And you've got another 30 seconds.
In there?
In the blue bowl.
In the blue ball?
In the blue bowl. Don't waste any time.
Got it.
Not the same. You've got 5 seconds. That's it.
So, too late for her.
Thank you very much. So how was that? The way the NHS is doing it at the moment is akin to being blindfolded. How about if it were arranged like this? How much easier would it be to cherry pick the genotype that the patient needs? The community is there, but the NHS-BT is not. You need 15 to 20,000 more Black, Afro-Caribbean, ethnic minority donors. Organisation and tech won't solve your problems. You need to build a sense of community and trust for that. That's why we want to draw a line that links the donor to the receiver.
So, what you read here is a message that Charlene got today. She is a new donor. It's the first time she donates. And today, our blood helped Jaden, a sickle cell patient that needs a transfusion every 2 months. So, let's have a look how everything started. So, Charlene, due to awareness campaign, just decided to sign up and get the blood donor group. So at the time, she just have a pre-screened blood, so she's sure that she can donate. And after that, she received the welcome pack that explains everything and mainly thanked her. So one day, after a week, she got a notification. So an hospital in her area, in her neighborhood, need a specific genotype. So she was kind of questioning herself, it's the first time, should I? Yeah, come on, it's my neighborhood, it's my community. And she just accepted to help. At this point, she just answered few questions for understanding if she is really eligible for this period. And after that, she booked an appointment. So when she booked it, since it's the first time, she received a link to a video that explains all the basic rules of blood donating. More or less the same chain act we see in the airplane every single flight. But this is only once because you need only the first time. So she booked the appointment, and the day of the appointment, a Uber car picked her up at home and bring her at the hospital where they need it. On the way, she just replied the form on the app, a new light version of form, particularly studied for being cultural tactful. Because still, we are talking about minorities. We cannot just throw questions as we like. So as soon as she gets to the hospital, a nurse welcomed her, just checked the answer on the screen, and let her donate. At this point, we have the link to the donor and the patients, because at the end, she writes a message that will be attached to the blood bag. And what happened to the patient side? So let's talk about Jaden. Jaden, as we saw, have an appointment every 2 months. So he already knows when he will need the new transfer. So he booked an appointment to the hub, check the notes from his specialist that is following him, just for see if there are some changes in the treatment. He has some doubt, and this day is more painful. So he just tried to the dynamic FAQ for understand if there's some trick that can help him to realize to this pain. It's not so clear, so he write a direct message to his follower and his doctor. At this point, it's just more clear and he know what to do. At the day of the transfusion, he moved to the hospital. He received the blood with a message from Charlene. And at the end, he write the message back, the same we saw at the beginning of the discussion. This is how we link the people in the community, how we build trust, and how we can help people trust NHSBT, because they know that where it comes from and where it's going.
Now, all of this is powered by the NHS cloud system. It connects the hospital's blood database to the appointment system and connects that to both the patient and the donor information containing their genotype. This allows the NHS to have a clear visibility as to all the aspects of the demand and supply of blood. And how this works is that when the hospital system knows which patients or the upcoming blood transfusion that a donor will need, and based on that it will check its current stock, or it will send out information to donors in the area to come in, so that way there's enough time to transfer the blood. Now, why is this important, or what is sort of the benefits out of this? It's definitely cost saving, as the previous group mentioned. We already heard about how expensive transportation is, and by bringing the donor directly to the hospital, you're cutting off all of the cost required in the transportation of the blood. And also, the digitization of the data reduces the cost in stationery and also frees up time of the staff from administrative work more into patient care. This also creates a leaner and flexible blood system, so the big data analysis can see if the blood stocks are low, and when it reaches a critical level, it can sort of send out invitations to refill that pool. And you always have visibility in terms of geolocation as to where the donors are. So let's look at how you can implement this in terms of a business transformation strategy. Phase 1 is an operational change where you need to build a database of pre-screened donors, and you have their geographical information, and this solves the problem of availability of donors. Phase 2 is the digitization of health records for both patients and donors, and this is also making it available to them. It's not just internal. So what this means is that the patients can review their own treatment plan. The donors also have the information of their own genotype, and this cuts down the problem of patient care pathways, time efficiency, and it optimizes the utilization of both space and storage. So in phase 3, so now that you have all of this set up, you're now ready to actually implement the demand-based blood model, where you can push and pull in a dynamic manner, and that cuts transportation costs and blood wastage. Now, since you've already tried it out with multiple blood transfusion for sickle cell, you're now ready to take this to all other patients who require regular transfusion. So that can extend out to kidney dialysis, cancer, many other diseases. So that way you've actually scaled that solution into many other areas of blood transportation. In conclusion, having the blood on demand model will make multiple blood transfusion more efficient and responsive for all the parties involved, and it puts NHS-BT at the center of the community. Thank you.
That was very good. Very good. I especially like the way that you built the emotion at the start of the storytelling. The Lego game was really great because I thought it was a visual representation of the challenge. I think you guys have been really wrestling with that for the last 3 weeks, haven't you? Like, you've gone straight in at sickle cell and got really, like, they know so much about sickle cell. they've interviewed patients and Skype interviews, but the thing that's really surprised me and is really amazing to see is how you've used that challenge to build out a model and to design a strategy that touches on all of the things that I mentioned on our first day, in terms of how you move from operational transformation to model transformation to strategic transformation and dual from a single focus point, which is absolutely brilliant. Really, really good.
I agree, it was very impressive. And I think there were things I could ask and kind of question in terms of whether it would work. But in principle, I think it's a great idea. I love the Lego, I love the emotion. I think sickle cell is one thing, but our demand for own egg blood at the moment is one of our biggest priorities. And we can't solve that problem. And the reason is absolutely, in my view, because we don't make that connection. It is about building trust, it is about community. You just can't go out in the street and start recruiting people from a black and ethnic minority. You need to somehow have their trust, you need to build that relationship. So you're spot on in terms of identifying that. How we do that is kind of then the nitty-gritty, and it's different from our responsibility, but for us a big issue would be anonymity. So making that connection is great. Actually, we would have to somehow keep the anonymity, and but yeah.
We thought about that, especially during the message. You can build up a system of privacy, like on Facebook. You can choose the level of anonymity of the message. So you can say, I want to be completely anonymous, so you just receive the message, or I want to know who I am. So it's kind of up on you the level of privacy you want to give to messages.
We would, it would just be anonymous. It's all about anonymous donation. We would just not be able to move forward from that.
I thought it was really clever how you can. I think what you've done brilliantly is you've changed my perception of the sickle cell a challenge that is in its minority and thus warrants less investment and focus, or is it actually the thing that you should focus on to transform the entire business? It's just changing that perception is really powerful.
And if you can take one thing from that, is sort of, like when you donate, being able to send those good wishes, it makes it more than just blood. Absolutely. And also receiving those good wishes. You don't need to know who it's from, but knowing that there's...
I get that. How you do it, but I agree. The fact that you're actually, using, you want to say something to somebody is very pertinent to know.
Maybe I'm going to say something that's untrue, but you can write on the blood bag, right? That can be as simple as that. Writing on the blood bag that you're giving. Just having like a handwriting note, doesn't have to be signed.
I think probably a tag would be better, but
Yeah.
whatever it is, it's the principle of how you do it, and I like it.
Really good.
Yeah, I just like that connection with Jackie said, I thought it was fantastic, the way you zoomed in and zoomed out again. I thought it was really a great example of strategy-led design. There's one thing in particular I really like was your focus on data, because that's one of the things that, that's the first time I've heard that mentioned today. For me, that's NHS number one priority. To get to Z, you need the whole alphabet in place in the first place. And data and making it open and accessible and shareable and standardized as NHS enables all these kind of revolutions that we're talking about. And, that kind of seems to be one of the first things that we're doing, so that's great.
And maybe just one thing that we didn't mention in the awareness bit was also as patients or like the patient's parents receiving blood, that could be a chance to sort of share with the community as that you need blood, so that way that can then lead into the awareness campaigns that where you also sort of do an initial pre-screening. So that one we didn't actually have in the presentation just to.
Yeah, it's just to share with you, the biggest success I've had in terms of academic minority is with, I can't remember his name now, but it's the Afro-Caribbean LT, Community Trust, with Orin and his wife, because their son died of leukemia, and single-handedly we work together and do a session for them, and they get people come to donate blood not because of us, but because of them. The problem we have, they come and don't come back. Yeah, so they come because Oren and his wife get them there, but actually getting them to come and do repeat donations, that becomes more of a challenge. So it's about then we haven't, in my view, we haven't made that right connection when they've turned up.
Yeah, from what we understand, like the young folks are the one who are the most inclined not to have the kind of belief that like the God and all the religious part of this community that comes across that. And the young folks who are studying are the ones who are the most inclined to get over those beliefs and more inclined to donate in blood. The University of Manchester is actually 2 streets from the main hospital. And an awareness campaign where you can actually go into the students' pool and find out the ones that are the most in need and like really be able to speak to them directly, that would be a huge improvement.
Expanding on that, one of our earliest insights, and the sort of transcendent theme through our presentation was the sense of community. The Afro-Caribbean community in particular are incredibly generous and give selflessly, just not to these sorts of causes, they give to their church. So our speculation, and unfortunately we weren't able to follow it up enough, but we have a strong inclination that the power to compel the Afro-Caribbean community to start donating and to keep donating lies with its spiritual and religious leaders. So that could become part of the sermon and Sunday ceremony. Get them on side, and some of that goodwill can perhaps be redirected towards blood transfusion, but they have tremendous weight.
Yeah, because didn't you have the insight about donations in the church?
Yes. Well, not donations it's beyond simply the power is with the messenger to deliver it to the disciples.
And it is something we're looking at. I agree.
Yeah. And the culture as well, like we put the warriors at the center of our presentation because we went into their community online and we saw how they call themselves and how they interact with each other. And they are, as much as cancer, fighting against sickle cell.
Yeah.
They see themselves as very strong personality and not personality
It's
in
really
need.
interesting because I loved that terminology, absolutely loved it. I guess being white middle class, I guess you start, and obviously not black, you start getting a bit anxious about whether other people would find that language acceptable. You know, in terms of
It's a name they've chosen for themselves, so
some have, not everyone. You know, that's the problem, isn't it? When you start using that, you just think, well, if I'm in Brixton and I don't know, whatever. Some people may not like the terminology. I love it. I absolutely love it.
There is also like one fact that we have that is very, I think, powerful in terms of understanding how they feel and how they can be a very good ambassador to their cause, is the fact that when we went to the Sickle Cell Center and we talked about a pediatrician who is here to go with the mother who has a youngborn who has sickle cell or before he gets born, and they have the choice at some point, if they know that the child will be born with sickle cell, to whether or not pursue the pregnancy. And the mother who choose to terminate the pregnancy are the one who either have sickle cell, who have already one child who have sickle cells. So this is, I think, how much they feel about that, and how important this is, and how good ambassador they can be into this fight.
Can I also just say, not just in the presentation, just in your answer to the questions, it really comes across how well read you are around the subject and what experience you have.
Very impressive.
Thank
Well
you.
done.